Hi guys, and welcome to another Fool of the Week. Now this week has been difficult. There has been the option of Liz Truss celebrating her mini-budget's second anniversary. There was the possibility of the Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson blaming her kids for her accepting Taylor Swift tickets. But I had to select an old friend of the show and one of the leading candidates to be the next Tory leader, Kemi Badenoch. The former minister doubled down on her position that she stopped being middle class for a while and became working class, then returned to being middle class again. Here she was speaking to Ian Dale. Embarrassing stuff. Have a listen.
In your childhood in Nigeria, you came from a very middle-class background,
so I said, so what I said was that I grew up in a middle-class family, but coming here, I became working class. My dad gave me his last £100. He said, this is all we have, because all our money was gone. And this is one of the things that people don't understand, that because I've lived somewhere else and I've seen how things can go wrong, I have a very visceral reaction to bad policy here. I lived in a country where there was hyperinflation. My family's money was inflated away. It turned into nothing. I watched a government put in left-wing policies that destroyed the economy. There was capital flight. People wanted to leave. They couldn't get out. I've seen downward social mobility. We talk about social mobility in this country as if it's something that only goes up. And it is a secret that every immigrant to this country knows, that you can go backwards. And that is why I think you find a lot of people from immigrant backgrounds being very aspirational, this tiger mum phenomenon that we see, because many of them know what it is like to live in a place where there are a lot of poor people, and it can happen very quickly. And that's the point I was making. But what is interesting is the reaction to that. It is unique in this country, the way we police class, when actually a lot of people here no longer fit into the class system as it used to be. I'm not working class. I'm middle class now. But for a point in my life when I had to walk everywhere because I didn't have enough money to get on the bus, and I was working at McDonald's, I was working class.
You were not working class, you were still middle class. She doesn't seem to understand the difference between class and money. They're two separate things. See, I'm not a fan of this class system. I think it's completely obsolete. In reality, there are only really two class systems. There's the owner class, who own the means of production. For example, if you have your own business, you're an owner. But if you work for somebody, it doesn't matter what level you are, if you work for somebody, then you are, in a sense, working class. Once again, I don't like the term working class, but that's what we're talking about here. So there are two groups, basically, the owners and those who work for them. Now, what she's talking about here is being temporarily poor, not changing a class system. See, if we are to define what is middle class, well, I would say it's maybe, for example, access to private education. Did she have access to private education growing up? Probably, because she said she was from a middle class background. Did she have to worry about losing her home? Probably not. Did she have certain connections? If you're middle class or upper class, you have a certain network you can rely on. This is middle class or upper class. And then, of course, the way you speak. And, of course, where you come from, your address. These are all aspects of middle class or upper class. Now, money doesn't really come into it, because there are people who are upper class who are struggling, living hand to mouth because maybe they live in some country estate, but it's falling to pieces and they don't have the money to upgrade it or fix it up. And maybe they're living off the rent of some field or a bit of property that's helping them just to get by. But then at the same time, you can have somebody who's working class, comes from a working class background, but they're a multimillionaire. They're the richest person on the street. They have the best car in the area. Now, so once again, class doesn't really come into it. It's about money. So you were middle class. You didn't change from being middle class. There was a period of time when you didn't have much money, but your class did not change. Once again, I hate the term upper class, middle class, and lower class. It's not really useful, especially in this day and age. And it's really difficult to explain to people outside Britain exactly what the class system is and how it operates. But generally, it's, I believe, and you can disagree with me in the comments if you want, but I believe it's how you speak, your address, maybe your access to education, and your network. And these are really the things that define your class. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you next time for our next Fool of the Week.